Hey guys, the car over here is the Mazda CX-30 CKD unit. Now this is the high plus variant and it costs about the 151,500 ringgit. It's a lot of money for not a very big car. And I've been cracking my head on how to justify spending that much money on such a small car, and to be frank, I'm having a tough time. So let's take a walk. Let me show you the interior. Let me talk about the powertrain and such, and then we can conclude whether you should be spending your money on such a small car. Now, in terms of design, there's no doubt that Mazdas are actually really good looking cars. There's simply not a ugly angle to the CX-30. However, if I have to nitpick on stuff, I would nitpick on this plastic panel over here. I know a lot of cars have this, and again, I'm just nitpicking, but it just looks a little too cheap for my liking. Now, if you come towards the back over here, I would say that this is one of my favorite angles. Now, the Mazda 3 actually does it better, but this is actually quite a nice car in terms of design. So, and I actually quite like the powered tailgate. Now this is something that is quite important in today's world because all cars seem to have it, but it's also important to note that this comes with a locking feature over here. So what this means is that, let's say you've turned the car off, you come to the boot and you pick up whatever you want to pick up, you just press this locking function over here and it will just close the tailgate and it will lock the doors. Now, not a lot of cars have this locking feature. I know the Proton X70 for one doesn't have it. So that is a bit of a bummer. So in my books, this is important. In terms of storage space, not very big, decent. The good thing is it's level over here, so there's no drop, which means it's easier to chuck stuff in and pick it back out. So in that sense, not bad. In terms of design and features, really good. Now let's go check out the interior. Now, in terms of interior design, there's no complaining. It's a very good looking design. You also get powered seats for the driver, at least 10-way powered seats, and they're not only powered but they also come with memory function. So that's pretty good considering that the CX-30 is now a locally assembled unit. So in that sense, I think I give it top points over here. I would also give it top points for all the soft touch panels. The stitching looks really premium. Everything looks and feels really nice. However, this air conditioning controls over here do have a plastic-ish feel. Besides that though, there's no complaints. I'm actually surprised at how spacious the interior of the CX-30 is. I was expecting it to be quite a small car, such as the CX-3, which is actually on the smaller side, especially for taller drivers. I actually I'm hard done to get leg room in the CX-3. In the CX-30 though, I actually can get quite comfortable. The seats though are quite brilliant as well. Your meter panel is all digital, so is your entertainment screen. This is, however, it's not touch activated, so I found out the hard way. I was just pressing around. So this is not touch activated, which is a bit of a pity. So to scroll through the entertainment system, you have to use this knob over here, which kinda is counterintuitive a bit, especially when you are stuck at the traffic light or such. You simply want to scroll through things really fast, so you don't have that feature. But besides that though, there really isn't much to complain about. The interior spaciousness is good. The overall build and quality is nice. In terms of design, it's a little bit on the dull side, if I have to say. It's not very wow. It doesn't have that wow factor. But once you start looking around and you start touching all these panels, you start realizing that, hey, it's actually a car that is well put together. It's understated elegance, so to speak. Now, in terms of features, even though it comes packed with quite a lot of features, there are a couple of things about the interior of the CX-30 that I thought was a little bit, on the weirder side, perhaps not very well thought out, besides the air conditioning controls. is this thing, this storage space over here, the center panel. Now if I want to open this, I have to first slide it backwards and then slide it upwards. Let me pull it upwards. Now I realized that this is because the USB port, which there's just one USB port over here and another USB port over there. So to use this USB port, perhaps Mazda has thought that you want to charge your stuff and you want your phone to be in your hands. So you sort of need this space over here for the cables and all to hang out, so as not to pinch the cables. So that is actually a good thought, no doubt about it. But besides complaining, I also have to credit Mazda because this is actually quite a lot of storage space over here. Good enough for a lady's purse and such, depending on the size of it, of course. But yeah, pretty decent. Now, I also love the fact that it comes with shifter pedals. Now, I love shifter pedals. In terms of powertrain, this is a very conventional powertrain, a naturally aspirated engine with a 6-speed gearbox. I'll get to that shortly. But in terms of gear shifting, this pedal shifts give you better control over the performance of the car. I truly do appreciate that. You also get something called adaptive cruise control. Now if you're going to be traveling long distance with your CX-30, now this is actually a very handy feature to have because you can just turn on the cruise control and the car will accelerate and brake together with traffic flow and such. So that is brilliant. I really like the amount of features that the CX-30 has to offer. So what features am I talking about? Well, there are safety features and there are of course creature comforts. So on the topic of creature comforts, you get adaptive headlights. Now these adaptive headlights they actually bend according to the angle of the steering wheel. Now that is actually very handy, especially in very dark areas. So they illuminate dark corners and such as you're steering the wheel. That is pretty good. Now you also get high beam control, which automatically dip and highlight according to the darkness level of the street. And then you also get blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert. You also get front cross traffic alert, so which is also great. And then you get lane departure warning, lane keep assist, driver attention alert, cruising and traffic support as well. But so on that topic, you get a lot of features. There's no doubt about it. It better have a lot of features because Mazda actually wants quite a lot of money for the car. Now since we are inside here, let's go check out what the back seats have to offer. So the thing about Mazda Malaysia is that they give you a car on Friday and you have to return it on Monday. I didn't have much time to actually explore this car in depth, but on that note, I have to say that now this moment is the first time that I'm actually sitting in the back seat of the CX-30, and it's not a very nice place to be honest. This seat, I mean, look, there's no leg space at all. You don't get any USB ports. You don't get any USB ports at the back here at all. So the air conditioning vents are placed over here, which do a better job at cooling your knee than they do cooling your face. Yeah, I wouldn't want to spend a lot of time at the back here. So powering the CX-30 is the same 2-litre naturally aspirated engine, making 162 horsepower and 213 Newton meters of torque. Now this is the CKD unit, as I said earlier, so there's no all-wheel drive layout anymore. Power is sent directly to the front wheels, and this is actually not a bad thing, but with 162 horsepower it's not going to get you anywhere actually very fast. Handling is actually quite good, there's no doubt. Mazda's G vectoring control is actually one of the best in the market. It truly makes it feel like a hot hatch. But curiously, the back suspension of the CX-30 is a torsion beam setup, which is actually quite neither here nor there in terms of control and comfort. A multi-link suspension would have been better for added comfort as well as control. Now, efficiency is actually quite decent. As I said earlier, we've been driving this car for about 4 days already and we hardly see half tank. We've not even reached half tank. So in terms of efficiency, the CX-30 is actually quite good at what it does. So is it worth 151,500 ringgit? Well, the interior for one is actually not that bad, even though there are some questionable parts here and there. And in terms of Overall features, of course, entertainment, you also get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Basically, you almost get everything that you want in there. The interior also feels well put together. Design is always subjective, as I always say in all my reviews, but there's no doubt that it's actually a very handsome car. I am a fan of Mazdas. I own a CX-5. I have got no complaints about Mazdas. I love the way they handle. I love how you're always feeling in control, and I like how the interior focuses on the driver. When it comes to Mazdas, you actually love it or you don't. I actually kind of like the CX-30, but if it was priced somewhere about the 120,000 ringgit mark, I simply cannot stomach the fact that it costs 151,500 ringgit. For that much money, I'd suggest you take a look at the Honda HR-V.